Hello friends, welcome back to our YouTube channel, that is Epic Sedu Club. And this is going to be a long video over the Incoterms. So in this video we will discuss about like what are the Incoterms, what is the history of Incoterms, why they need to be defined, what are the types of Incoterms, and what are the how we use those Incoterms. Incoterms means basically the international commercial terms. So if you are in international trade business, or if you are working as an international logistic professional, then you must be aware about the Incoterms. So we will little bit deep dive on those Incoterms. So let me share my screen with you, then we will discuss further over these Incoterms. So before moving to the Incoterm screen, if you haven't liked the channel yet, please like the channel, hit the bell icon so that you can get all the updates in timely manner. Apart from that, our next CLTD training program is scheduled in the next month, coming month of March. If you are interested for that, if you are interested to get CLTD, if you want to do the CLTD certification and you want to get the training from me, then you just need to email me on info@epicsedu.club. Apart from that, if you are preparing for the CLTD exam and your CLTD exam is somewhat nearby, if you have already scheduled that, then you can go on Udemy and check for my CLTD practice exam sheets, so that you could be get well prepared for your CLTD exam. And yeah, I will post all those links on the description, and you can get and avail all those things. Apart from that, you can follow us on the Facebook and Twitter also. We are on LinkedIn also. I will share all those links. You can follow me from there, and let me know if you have any query or anything if you want to discuss with me on the logistic front or logistic training or anything. Thank you. Let me share my screen now. Okay, so as I said, these Incoterms are mainly used in the international trade or international logistics, so or global logistic we can say. So when we talk about the global logistic, so what the global logistic means? So the global logistic is the process of planning, implementing and controlling the movement of goods and material across international border. So this is what global logistic. We are planning, we are implementing and controlling. What we are controlling? The movement of goods. And we need to be a set principle. We need to have our mind on the set principle of 7R of the logistic. If you are not aware about the 7R, let me know in the comment section. So what this global logistic, what are the various activity in this global logistics? So the activity could be a transportation, warehousing, inventory management, custom clearance, documentation and compliance. So these are the some of the activity in the global logistic we do. So when any import export happen, there are several tasks associated, like several activity associated, like as I said, transportation, warehousing, documentation and custom clearance, all that. So those task responsibility is divided between buyer and seller, like who will do what activity. So to ease the communication, to make it easy, the communication between buyer and seller, the ICC International Chamber of Commerce introduced the International Commercial Terms in 1936, which clearly communicate the responsibility and risk for buyer and seller involved in the transaction. So from the initial release in 1936, there has been several updates have been done on this international commercial term or Incoterm. The recent update is of 2020, ICC 2020. Now these Incoterms are used by the business, by the government in more than 150 countries. So in my next slide, we will learn about what are those Incoterms. So Incoterms are basically divided into two categories. The first category is like for Incoterms for all mode of transportation, and Incoterms for only sea and inland water transport. So when we talk about the all mode of transportation, what are the Incoterms we use? The first is X work, FCA free carrier, CPT carriage paid to, CIP carriage and insurance paid to, DAP delivered at place, DDP delivery duty paid. There is one more new addition. What is the update happened in this 2020 ICC 2020? We will discuss this later. So apart from this, in the sea and inland water transport, that is FAS, FOB, CFR and CIF. FAS means free alongside ship, FOB free on board, CFR cost and freight, CIF cost, insurance and freight. So let us learn about these Incoterms, like what they say and what is the exact definition or what is the exact meaning of these Incoterms. So when we talk about the X work, so in X work, buyer is responsible for all the cost and he bears all the risk from origin to the final destination. In this X work, generally the task of seller is to intimate buyer that, hey buyer, your stuff or your good is ready, you can now pick up from this is my place, from my place you can pick your material. After that, what is all done is all the part of buyer. So in this process, the export clearance, freight, if there is insurance involved, insurance. After that, when on destination, the buyer will be responsible for import clearance, buyer will be responsible for the delivery to final warehouse. So in this task, everything will be done by the buyer. When we talk about FCA, seller delivers the good to the carrier custody. Now what happened in FCA? The buyer will give him that, okay, this is my carrier, you can deliver the good to my carrier. So in FCA Incoterm, seller will deliver the goods to the carrier custody, and from here the risk will pass from seller to buyer. Now seller is responsible here only for cost of clearing custom that is arise in the country of export, means where the seller is located. The third is CPT. Here what happened in CPT? Seller pays for the freight to which place? To the named port of destination or to the named point of destination. The seller will pays the freight. Before all those activities, seller is responsible. Now here what happened? The risk will transfer from seller to buyer when the goods are delivered to the custody of the carrier. Once the goods are delivered to the custody of carrier, or once the seller will give the goods to the carrier, the risk is of buyer, but the seller will pay the freight to the point of destination or port of destination. In CIP, it is similar to the CPT, but in CIP the insurance part is also involved and seller is responsible. Seller will pay the insurance part. So this is the CIP. Now we talk about DAP. Here the seller delivered goods to buyer and take all responsibility till the agreed point at the destination. So seller will deliver the goods to the buyer till that point. But what is catch here? The catch here is the buyer is responsible for the import clearance. Buyer will do the import clearance here. Apart from that, all activity will be done by seller. In DDP, seller is responsible. Like X work and DDP are something is to one of the major Incoterms that is commonly used, not every time, but yeah, it is commonly used. Like in X work, the buyer is responsible for everything. In DDP, Seller is responsible for everything. Now the seller will deliver the goods. The seller will do all the things and he will deliver the goods to the buyer place. The new addition what I have talked about in Incoterms, that is of DPU. Here the risk transfer from seller to buyer when the goods have been unloaded. This is the only rule that requires the seller to unload the goods in order to complete delivery. Now the buyer here is responsible for import clearance and all the local taxes and import duty. So in DPU, buyer will do the import clearance. So these are the Incoterms that are used on every mode of transportation. Now come on the sea and island waterway transport, and what are the Incoterms we generally use. So the first one is FAS. The seller pays for the transportation of good to the port of shipment. After that, all costs to buyer and risk is transferred once the goods are delivered to the port of shipment. So here seller will be responsible for the transportation of goods to the port of shipment, means at the origin port. Here on the origin port the seller is responsible. After that, risk and cost is transferred to buyer. Free on board. Seller pays for packaging, shipping to the port of departure. Seller will pay for all loading cost, custom clearing cost. After that, cost is passed to the buyer and buyer is responsible. That is FOB. CFR. Seller pays for the cost and freight of the goods to the named destination. Similar like CPT, as we have studied in CPT, the seller here will be pays for the cost and freight of the goods to the named port of destination. Okay, and it is similar like CPT, and risk here is transferred when it is delivered to the carrier. When the goods are delivered to the carrier, now it is responsibility of buyer. In CIF, it is similar. Seller pays for the cost, insurance and freight of the good, and risk is transferred when goods have been delivered at boat. So the risk will be transferred here when the goods have been delivered at boat. Boat means at the vessel boat. So here is a quick question for you. You can go through this question and reply me on the comment section, and let me know if you have any queries on this part, so we can discuss further over this. So this is all for today. Thank you. Thanks for watching this video. Please like the channel. Let me know your query in comment section. You can subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you will get every update timely manner, because sometimes what happens, like people come and say that okay, I have like for an internship I have posted recently, people came and said that okay, is this available now? People watch video later. So some of the videos are important. You can watch if you have subscribe the channel, and if you have already hit on the bell icon, you will get all the updates in timely manner. Thank you. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks.